Welcome to Property Life. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. As you may have guessed, I'm not at the property this weekend, and I wanted to make a little video on that power supply I had mentioned for the water pump. We've got that IBC tote with a water pump that's going to be on demand as we need it, which is the definition of on demand, I realize that. And it's going to operate off a switch on the wall in the kitchen so that we'll be able to turn it on and off similar to an RV. So here's the plan. So here's the power supply, just a regular ATX power supply that you'd find on just about any modern computer. But as most will know, if you take the power supply, you can set it to come on without the use of a motherboard just by grounding out a specific pin. So what we're going to be doing here is this power supply can output 12 volts at up to 14 amps. The problem is these little wires, they're not able to handle 14 amps. So we're going to be replacing that with a 14 gauge, which can do 15 amps. Of course, the pump only uses 7 amps, so it's not going to be that big of a deal. But we're going to be taking this apart, backing all the wires down to the board, removing all the little wires, putting on the new wires. And then, of course, we'll add a fuse that's external and a way to connect the wires to the pump externally. Hopefully, in the end, it'll look really good. Then we'll take the wire that needs to be jumped, and we'll permanently jump it to ground. And so anytime the power is turned on, in this case it's just plugged into an extension cord, but anytime the switch in that kitchen is turned on, it's going to turn on the power supply, which will supply power to the on-demand pump. The hardest part is going to be tearing it apart and resoldering it, which also is not really a big deal. So let's get to it. Alright, first step, let's get these screws out. And there we go. That was easy. So you see the big bundle of wires that comes in. You have a whole bunch of yellow and a whole bunch of red. They all go to the same place on the board. So all we're going to do is remove the bundles and replace it with a single wire of each. And then we'll trace back all these other wires that don't do anything, and we'll either cap them off or remove them from the board as well so that they aren't any sort of a hazard to worry about. So the next step's probably going to be to pull the board out. That way we can get to everything without cutting ourselves up on the bare metal. So let's try that. Okay, well, looking it over, we've got 4 screws, basically one on each corner of the board. The problem's going to be that the wire and the plug and the voltage switch, all these fun things have very short wires. So I think the shortest route will be just to bite the bullet, so to speak. Turn this up and take out all the screws, take out everything all at once, and then we're done, we'll put everything back again. I do want to apologize. I know I'm not much of a hand model, so that's all you're really seeing at the moment. Well, for some brilliant reason, whoever did this decided that there should be little nuts on the back of these. Nothing else has this. Alright, well, it would appear that most of these wires are tucked in fairly well. And though I could get to them from the back and desolder them, they're going to be floating inside of a housing, so nothing's going to be able to touch them. So I think I'm just going to snip them off so that they stand up straight. And if there's anything that I fear might touch something, I will address it more specifically. But for now, I think we just start cutting wires. This green wire, I'll leave it a bit long because this is the one that we're going to need to ground off or send to ground to make it run. So let's get all this mess out of the way. I don't have the equipment to make this as good as it could be, but right here on the board, these yellow wires are the 12 volt, but on the board it actually does say positive 12 right there. And though I can't see the red, I would assume that it also has plus 5 for the 5 volts on that. But the 12 volts what we're looking for, and it's well marked. So right here, this is where the bundle of wires came out. There's a small resistor here, and it looked like it had some globs touching it. But in looking closer, this giant piece of the trace here actually continues over here to the side and then to the back of this resistor. So the fact that there's a little bit of stuff here, that it's not going to affect it. This one here, which again, from your angle, looks like a bunch of nothing, but this is the brown wire, and it touches the other side of that resistor, and there's a bunch of little bits in here, and I'm just afraid that if I get in here with some giant soldering iron, I'm going to knock things loose. So I think I will leave the brown wire as it stands. It's not a big bundle like the other one was. I'll see if I can't get in there and just cut that a little closer to the bottom, and we'll call it good and move on. Again, it'd probably be better to have some smaller snippers, but hey, you do work with what you got, right? There we go. Alright. This purple wire, I think it's going to be in a similar boat. We're just going to snip it a little closer and call it good. So now that's snipped. So I think the main thing now that we're left with, again I apologize for the lack of view. If I was Mr. Fix, I'd be rapping to you, and I would probably have the magnifying glass on things. But we have, I think y'all can see that. Right here, there is a large bundle and another large bundle, and those are the negatives, and you can see that it's all connected to everything around here. So hopefully there's not a lot of little bits, so this should come apart easy. And then over here we've got what looks to be the 5 volt pad and the 12 volt pad. And again, now there's nothing small hanging around here, so hopefully they come out a little easier. Let's start with the black wires. One bundle down. 2 to go. Maybe more. Oh, that one was just easy. All right, where we at? Wow, I'm making this look easy. Oh, okay. This little blue wire, let's go ahead and yank him out while we're here, before the wire gets hot. I said before the wire gets hot. For the record, the wire got hot. It's nice when you're not trying to fight a bunch of resistors and little itty bitty bits. Yeah, got it. And got it. Everything else still connected. And we do have some extra spot for ground. I can just jump this to ground. Don't need to go shorting ourselves. Here's a blast from the past. We haven't seen these before. These are the original style. Well, I say that, I guess there could have been older styles. You can see I know how to use them. There we go. Let's put it through this back one here. By back one, I mean not the back one. There. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, technically 5 and 6 holes that we could be using here for the ground. Give it a little tug. Oh yeah, we're good to go. So it's kind of funny. I bought this wire from my trailer to rewire it because I wanted the heavier duty wires, mainly because it came with the sheathing. But I think we will stick with, if I was running electrical for a house, black would be your hot, white would be your neutral. Let's go with that thought process. Bring the dinosaur back out again. Alright, neutral wire. I'm going to go into the ground. So let's tuck that in. Alright, hot wire coming in. And we want 12 volts, which is the outer set of wires. Looks good. And by looking good, I mean it'll work. Here we have our 2 lines. And they are going to go out to one of these. And I realize this is extremely overkill, but it was what was available and they weren't that expensive. And they're going to end up going up here on the lid, out of the way. And by out of the way, I have no idea where that is yet. Let's go ahead and tuck some of these back in place. Came out so easy. Oh, oops, we get it on top. All right, there we go. Fan. Voltage selector. Don't know that I'll ever run on 240 volts. And that plug will go back in there. That'll be fun getting the nuts back on the back. And my ground wire. Alright. Alright. Let's try an actual screwdriver this time. Let's go for the easy ones first. Put the fan back on. Next, if you're still watching, I'm impressed. I would think by now most people would have skipped to the end. For all I know, I'm talking to myself because everyone skipped to the end. The good news is there is an end to get to, which means it worked. Or went catastrophically wrong, which would be just as entertaining. And now, the more fun ones. If I was smart, I'd just replace them with screws. All right. Well, that was a whole lot of fun. And by fun, I mean the opposite of fun. All right, let's get the dinosaur. Okay, now I have confidence, faith, however you want to look at it. We've got this wire connected to the front of the test lead. We got the ground connected to the other side, similar to the way we did before. Got it plugged in, and just so that I'm not holding on to anything, I've got these over here. So now, I plug this in, we should get light. We got light! We're going with this. Just a simple self-tapper. Boom, boom. Nothing to it. Good to go. You can see where the lid's going to go back on. I don't know how well it will line up, but where these screws are They go right in here. And there's a lot of room at the top. So let's put the lid back on. In hindsight, I probably should have checked that these wires reached. But I lucked out. They do. We have the white come into here, and because this black's barely long enough, it passes under. It's not touching any of the metal, and it comes to here. I will get a fuse for this side. I might even see if I can find one that will mount to the box, but if nothing else, it'll have a blade fuse in the middle here. But it is running. The fan's running. So this will work. Now basically the switch that's in the cabin, I say under the sink, but it's not going to be like where water is. And it is a GFI protected circuit too on top of that, so no worries on there. But we'll be switching the outlet on and off, which will make this come on and off anytime the switch is on. And I did get a pilot light switch, so anytime the pump is turned on, or this power supply is turned on, there will be a bright red light that comes on. Well, that's going to wrap up this project. It did work, and I don't normally say this, but my 8-year-old is willing to say it, so...
Thanks for watching, like and subscribe.